co-host all the way from the 305, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing good today. How you doing, brother?
Doing real good, even better because we got another co-host back in the building. Also from the 305, our guy Mike on the mic, Mike McCoy. How you doing, Mike?
What's going on, y'all? Been a minute. Happy to be back on. Let's do this, man. Thanks for having me again.
For sure, for sure. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I know you two, who are Canes, have been very happy with the football season going on in college right now. We've had our first official rankings by the committee put out there. The AP has come and gone since. Big upset loss by the Miami Hurricanes, and what we're left with is Oregon at number one, the Ohio State University at two, Texas at three, Penn State at four, Indiana keeping that season alive at five, the Tennessee Vols at six, BYU seven, Notre Dame eight, Alabama nine, Ole Miss 10, Georgia 11, and then right at the cut, the Miami Hurricanes. Mike, let's go ahead and start off with you. How are you feeling about these rankings when it's all said and done? Who's the team that you think the two wild card teams that you think should get in based on who you think is going to win all the conference championships? And where do you think your Miami Hurricanes factor in all of this when it's all said and done?
First and foremost, those rankings, they're a mess, as expected. I mean, it just you can tell how the committee is thinking just by looking at what they're doing. The rankings you read, by the way, is the AP top
Hmm.
25. If you look at the CFP rankings, which is the one that's going to decide everything at the end of the day, they got Miami at 9, which I think is a little bit. I think it holds a little bit more weight because you have the AP has two lost teams ahead of Miami. Those teams being Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia. Now, the CFP, they live and die by we rank teams no matter how what no matter their record, we want to get the best now 12 before it was the best four teams in, which is why I think they got it right last year when FSU didn't get in because minus Travis, what was his name? Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis.
They're not a good team. That's like you take Cam Ward out of this team, it's a completely different team. It's a completely different team. But that said, it's just I like Miami at 9. I actually thought that and it really doesn't matter because you win your conference, they're going to be top four. You win your conference, they're going to be top four. Boise State right now is sitting at 13, which doesn't make sense to me either because they'll have an automatic bid because they're going to be the highest G5 team. I just don't get why they're outside the rankings right now when at the end of the day they're going to be included because they're an undefeated. Actually they have one loss, but they're the highest rated G5 team. They're going to get in. There's probably still going to be three or a couple three lost teams, at least three lost teams in there because we've already seen it since the CFP started. There has been at least one, maybe two, three lost teams in the top 10. So that's 100% going to happen this year again. Now that we got a 12-team field, but it's still too early. It's still too early because there's only 2 weeks in. And, talk to me after the conference championships are played and the final rankings will come out that Sunday. But you could see how they're thinking and how they're leaning. Um, it's not SEC bias because you look at the top four teams, there's one SEC team in there and it's Texas. You know what I mean? In the top 10, you got Bama is in there, Tennessee, and Texas as SEC teams. So you see more Big Ten teams in there, Oregon, Ohio State. It's still a mess. Um, it's what I expected right now because this year in college football there is not one dominant team. There isn't. There's not one dominant defense, which is where I like my Kings' chances. If they play like a team with a pulse defensively, if they play like a top 50 team defensively, Miami will be all right. Like just allow 28 points instead of 38 points for crying out loud. But it's cool, man. We're in the middle of November, and November is one of the craziest months in college football. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of points that Mike said. I think with this being the first year of it, I think this really kind of sets the tone of like, kind of lays the groundwork of how things are going to go for moving forward. So it would be interesting to see like what three-win teams gets in or just how they judge it in general with this being like the first year and how this is kind of going to set it off going forward. But I think on Miami, obviously you have those kind of trap games that can get you sometimes. So you go out to Georgia Tech, it's away. So and like Mike said, the defense hasn't been great this year. So I think they. With that being said, though, they picked a great year for them to get things going because the playoff field was expanded. I think in the past that one loss might have hurt them a lot more. So
Yeah.
you obviously didn't want to lose at all, but there's those trap games in those situations. So I think they're still in a good spot as long as they win out and win their conference championship game. So we'll see how things shape up.
I didn't answer your question, Rich. You wanted conference championships. I mean, right now, you look at the Big Ten, top two teams in the country is well, right now, if the conference championship was going to be played, it's Indiana and Oregon.
But
I like
Indiana plays Ohio State this weekend.
They play right. They play. So one of those is going to lose. So you know what? Give me Indiana in that game. Give me Indiana in that game. Yeah, give me Indiana in that game, man. I haven't been impressed with Ohio State. You look at their schedule. They lost to Oregon. That's a game they actually should have won. Okay, that's actually a game they should have won. But they don't look like I said. There hasn't been not one dominant team. They beat Purdue this past week, shut them out 45-0. Okay. Penn State, that was a hard fought win on the road. I'll give them that.
Yeah, but they own Penn State. Like
They do.
they've done his thing against them every time they played them. James Franklin, like I like him, but
You know what somebody said about Penn State? They said it perfectly. They always beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, and they always lose to the teams that they're supposed to lose. And that has been the MO for James Franklin since he got there. But I like Indiana this weekend, and if things play out how they should, like according to the standings right now, well, not how they should, but if they were to play today, you have the Big Ten championship game being Indiana and Oregon. And I'm sorry, but I'm not a betting man, and that's not a game that I would bet on. That's going to be a lot closer than the experts think because Oregon, they didn't look so hot in the beginning of the year, struggling against teams. I think it was like Wyoming that they barely beat, something like that, or Western Michigan, some team. So look, parity all over the place in college football. I love it. And in the ACC, Miami SMU, let's say that plays out. Oh boy, I don't like that matchup from Miami at all. At all, I don't like that matchup because um, SMU's offense is a lot of high tempo, up tempo stuff. They're starting to they meaning offenses across the board. Period are starting to target Kiko there because they're figuring out that guy is not that good in coverage. Why is he in there on obvious passing downs is another question. But in the SEC, that's the one that it could be anybody. It could be Georgia could probably still get in. Texas, Bama could still get in. That I think is a lot more confusing than the Big Ten. So there's a lot of excitement going down. And in the Big 12, Colorado could get in. So I mean, listen, this is what we live for. This is what I love college football. Give me college football Saturdays over any NFL Sunday. But this we're in the thick of it, man.
it's gonna like. So you're right about where the SEC stands in the rankings. Obviously, you can't tell me that there's no way when the committee comes together and makes a decision on the wild card teams.
Mm-hmm.
If Georgia did not look like a playoff team against Ole Miss this past Saturday. If they continue to look like that and they get in, people are going to be in an uproar about the SEC bias going on. If you can get a 3-loss team in there, which I'm gonna be honest with you, that's exactly what I expect. It's an expanded playoff, but as far as who gets in, who doesn't, I still think the SEC is gonna reign supreme when it comes to those decisions.
It's gonna happen. Like, look, Tennessee goes to Georgia this week. What do you do if what do you say about Georgia if they go in there and they win by double digits? When I say double digits, that doesn't have to be an ass kicking. It could be 10 points. It's a solid win against a top 7 team in the country or the 7th ranked team in the country. What are you going to say then? You know what I mean? The thing with me about Georgia is I feel like they win when they have to. Like, all right, guys, like let's go. Like I wouldn't be surprised they lose. I got them winning at home this week. It's going to be prime time on ABC. I'll be locked into that one. But they'll be right back in. They lose, they're done in terms of the SEC. But I still wouldn't be surprised they get in at the end of the day because they are one of the best 12 teams in the country. And that's what the TFP aims to do. They want to get the best 12 teams in the country playing against each other in the playoff at the end of the day.
Let's go ahead and switch over to Heisman talk now. We've had a lot of season to marinate here. When we first started off, we were obviously talking about Travis Hunter, not talking about Shador as much as I thought we were going to be in the beginning of the year, but we'll get to that. We talked a lot of Milroe early in the year. Cam Ward obviously has been dominant all year. Ashton Genty's been dominant all year. I feel like right now at this point of the season, you know that your top three in no particular order are going to be Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, and Cam Ward. The other day, sports radio legend, writer legend, Dan Levitard on his show goes on after the Miami upset to Notre Dame and says Cam Ward's Heisman run is over. He got a lot of pushback on his show, deservedly so. That loss does not define Cam Ward's Heisman season. Cam Ward's Heisman season this year is more dominant than Jaden Daniels' Heisman season from last year, who, by the way, looks phenomenal in the NFL right now. I could kind of see his argument as far as the big wins because of the way that the schedule's been for Miami, but just because you take an upset loss to Georgia Tech doesn't like that shouldn't hinder you from getting the highs, especially like I don't know, we've seen Heisman winners take crazy losses in the season and still win the Heisman. It doesn't add up to me there.
I've seen Eric Crouch, and this goes way before you guys can remember anything. Eric Crouch won a Heisman Trophy, and I believe the Heisman Trophy hadn't been awarded yet, and they took a loss. Eric Crouch was a quarterback for the Nebraska Cornhuskers right before they took an ass whooping in the 2001 BCS championship game against Miami. They lost in blowout fashion. I believe it was in the Big 12 championship game, I think. Got their asses handed to them by Colorado. Okay. They lost by like 3 or 4 touchdowns. And if I'm not mistaken, the Heisman hadn't been handed out yet, and he won it. Okay. Should have been Dorsey that year, could have been McGahee that year. But Dan Lebertard doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He is notoriously known as he's a Miami alum that's the biggest Miami hater out there. It's weird for him, right? By the way, did you know that Cam Ward threw for 3 touchdowns and had 348 yards and a loss, no interceptions? Yeah, he had a fumble at the end of the game, but Cam Ward is not the reason he lost that game. Cam Ward has, in my definition, 3 Heisman moments on the year so far. One of those Heisman moments was in the opening game of the season at Florida, okay? Cam Ward, I think, first of all, he's a quarterback. That's why he had the advantage over Travis Hunter, who, by the way, doesn't have the stats that Xavier Restrepo has on the year. Just want to put that out there. And don't give me that, he plays two positions. He's tired. No, he's not tired. He misses like 2 snaps a game. Okay. I'll take Travis Hunter in a heartbeat, but what is he winning as? A corner? There's corners out there with probably better numbers than him. I would credit him with 1 Heisman moment so far this year. Is he going to win it as a receiver? There's like 10 receivers that have better stats than him. So you got to give it to him you can't give it to him as an athlete. That, and not even Charles Woodson won it as an athlete. He won it as a cornerback. So to me, it's Ward, Genty, and Hunter in that order. Genty, they all have losses. Genty's a running back.
Not to cut you off, I'll throw Sanders in there too. I don't think he's going to win it, but I feel like he should be in that conversation.
To me, he's out of my top 3. But
not as far as top 3 goes. I'm just saying, like when they invite the 5 guys,
he'll probably get the invite. Yeah, he'll get the invite, and you can't count out what's the name over at Oregon either. The quarterback.
Oklahoma last year.
Yeah, it'll come. I'm drawing a blank, but at the end of the day, man, Genty's knock is the competition that he plays, right? And we want to talk about Miami. It's not Boise State's schedule. Miami actually has like a top 5 strength of record. So, look, man, Cam Ward has already broken the program record for touchdowns thrown in the season at Miami. All time, he's one of the highest. He has one of the most touchdowns in a career in college football. It should be him. If it doesn't, it has Miami rules written all over it. Like, that's a bunch of crap. If this kid was playing somewhere in the SEC, this wouldn't be a conversation.
Yeah, I think Dan Levitard, I think that a lot of people probably seen Cam. He probably got the hype a little more because the team was undefeated. So, once they lost one, people's quick to say like, oh, well, now you drop a little bit. It's, it's kind of like a power ranking thing. You lose one, then you kind of drop a little bit. But I think to what me and Mike were saying earlier that if you really look at the game, Cam did what he was supposed to do, but he can't. He's not going out there and playing defense too. If the defense is not holding up, then there's not much that he can do. So I don't think he should be penalized too much for that type of award, if you know what I mean. So we'll see how it ends up playing out, but that's probably where Dan Levitar was at. He's probably one of those like, okay, they're undefeated, Heisman winner, and as soon as you lose one, people kind of lose a little hype off of it. So I think they'll be fine. I think when you really look at it, like he did what he was supposed to, but the defense just didn't hold up.
For sure, man. It's going to be an interesting run this year, man. This is the first time in a little bit that we're gonna have at least five guys where it's like we've obviously got the quarterbacks in there, but to see a dominant running back and then a player the caliber of Travis Hunter, again, two non-quarterbacks who are making it a real conversation is definitely gonna be something to see. I mean, where I'm at it right now, I've been flip-flopping on it because I don't know if you've been following along with the couple times we've had this conversation already, Mike. I've been a huge advocate for Travis Hunter off of what you were talking about. He shouldn't get it for just the wow of seeing him being doing what he's doing at wide receiver and at cornerback. Guys don't throw to him as much when he's playing corner, right? But that just pops out to me so much. I have since changed my tone a little bit on it, and you've actually talked me off the ledge with it a little bit. Genty's probably my favorite right now, but talking about competition and what you're seeing and everything, which you just did, to me only makes him a slight favorite over Cam Ward. But that's just where I'm at with it right now.
Okay. Okay. I mean, look, the dude is a beast, man. He pull up his stuff right now. Boise State, you look at their record, 8-1. Their only loss was against Oregon, and that was a 3-point loss. Okay, so that's a good loss. Their wins: Georgia Southern, Portland State, Washington State, Utah State, Hawaii, UNLV, San Diego State, Nevada. You can only play who's on your schedule. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what they're about once the playoffs start. But by that time, the Heisman would have been handed out. But on the year, that kid, he's playing like a beast. He has 1,700 yards rushing and 23 touchdowns. I think McGahee had 26 touchdowns the year that Miami lost against Ohio State. He had 26 touchdowns in the regular season. I don't remember how many rushing yards he had, but this kid Genty's tearing it up. I think he's going to be a good pro. So
Yeah.
I just will be – it'll be funny the year that they decide not to give it to a quarterback, and you got like the best quarterback in the country right there, and it's just like, damn. Again, to me, I don't think it would be a conversation if this kid was playing for Georgia. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's go ahead and move over to our Sunday part of the schedule with the NFL in place. The New
Whoa,
York
wait,
Jets.
I
Go
got
ahead,
a
go ahead,
question.
Kay.
Someone brought this to me the other day. Do you think Travis Hunter plays both positions in the NFL?
I do. I do.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Which
I, for one, think that he's a good corner right now. He's a really good corner in college right now because he's a really, really good athlete. I am not saying that he doesn't have the technical skills or whatever, but all that time that he's playing at receiver can be, they're gonna want it. They're gonna want him, whoever drafts. First of all, I think he's a better corner than receiver. That's number one. So I think he's gonna get drafted as a cornerback. And the team probably not gonna need him at receiver. Okay. They're gonna want him to focus all of his time and training and off-season stuff at one position, which I would think is going to be corner, and and do with that. Like maybe they'll have a play where because his talent, his athletic ability is undeniable. Okay, so I don't think that they'll have him playing 20 snaps on offense. Maybe you'll put him in there for a go route, a 9 route, because the man can catch, the man can jump, the man can make you miss with the ball in his hands. But I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think it's at most it'll be 2-3 snaps a game. I don't think he's going to be playing both sides of the ball significantly at all. That's me.
I think Dion's already made it known that he's going to be involved in the draft process for Shador and Travis Hunter. So I think Dion's been his biggest advocate since they've gotten to Colorado as far as what it is that he can be and what he's going to do. I think when teams deal with Dion, and I think Dion is going to pull a Archie Manning for both of them. I think he's got the pull to be able to do it. Whoever drafts him is going to have to comply to Dean. Maybe it's not full time, or you're playing. He's. I don't think he'll be doing what he's doing in college, where he's only missing like 2 snaps a game. There'll be a position, whether it's wide receiver or cornerback, that he primarily plays. The only which way that I differ is I think he'll get a decent number of snaps on the other side of the ball.
Okay.
I disagree with you as far as the amount of snaps he'll get on the other side of the ball. I think he'll be in play for whatever the team does, in the offense or the defense, whichever way it is. But I do agree with you though. I think it'll be corner. That's the position that he mainly plays. This is what he was getting recruited as
Right.
when he was coming out of high school.
Honestly, if I was him, I would probably rather play corner because I'm only gonna play limited time at the other position, I don't want you to throw me in while someone's hot and then go tell me to go guard them. I'd rather be guarding them all game and then you can throw me in on offense to go run a route real fast. So I think going that way is easier than being on offense the whole time and then being like, oh, now we need you to go stop this guy on this
That's a
route
good
real
point.
fast. So I'd rather
Don't
I think
corners
focus in
make
on
more than
defense.
receivers?
What'd you say?
Don't corners make more than receivers?
That's a good
I
question. I
mean,
don't know.
receivers have been getting the bag right now. I haven't
Because
haven't
right
heard too
now,
many.
a high paid receivers in like upper 20s, like low 30s per year. I don't
So
know what the
I
we're
number is.
mean, it'll be whichever's going to pay out. You ready for this? I think, Mike, you a Niners fan, and you were around for this too. His career will mirror Dion's when they let Dion play on the offensive side of the ball. That's what I'm expecting.
I mean, that's fine. You gotta remember, and okay, but Dion didn't get a lot of snaps on offense. He didn't get a lot of snaps. He was more of a factor in the return game than he was on offense, like punt return, kick return. People wouldn't kick to him. He'd flip the field, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not saying he didn't play. He just didn't get, you know what I'm saying, a significant amount or even 10, 15, 10, 12, 15 snaps a game. When he was in there, he made his presence known. But from what I remember, he was more of a factor in the return game than anything else. Well, than receiver.
It's gonna be something to behold, man. I'm one of those who's already. I'm a Giants fan. We'll get into that. So I'm ready for this NFL season to be over. Let's kick off the next one. And so once that goes down, we'll be ready to go and see exactly what it is that he's gonna do. Speaking of the New York Jets taking another loss, boys, they got blown out the building. They got ran out the building. Kyler Murray tore them up. Wow. Really embarrassing for a season that has just been everything but what Jets fans wanted it to be. I'm sure what the organization itself wanted it to be. I got some friends that's Jets fans, fellas. So they're not gonna like what it is that I have to say.
Uh-oh.
This whole year has been, and I know I'm throwing stones when I live in a glass house. This whole year for the Jets has been what a clown organization looks like during the season. If you were going to fire Robert Saleh, I don't have an issue with firing Robert Saleh. I have an issue with you doing it a couple weeks into the season. This is the NFL. This isn't the NBA. This isn't the MLB. You don't see sparks when you make a coaching change. And then, not for nothing, what was the Jets' problem before Robert Saleh got fired? The defense looked fine to me. The offense, they couldn't get anything going on offense. And then you traded for Devontae Adams after you fired the coach. You elevate the defensive coordinator to be a first-time head coach in season, which the way it happened was a mess. And then these are the results that you get. Who is surprised by this? Who is honestly surprised by what's happened to the Jets? Now, they got the Colts this week. Anthony Richardson's coming back from his benching after tapping out of a game, you know. So they should. I expect them to win that. But this is not a playoff team. Jets fans, I know, are still holding out hope. They still believe they can get in for obvious reasons. When you look at the records, there's going to be an 8-9 win team that gets in with the last wild card in the AFC. But it won't be the Jets. Then there's no way that they can straggle up a couple more wins to even be in the conversation.
Yeah, I think when we talked about this earlier in the season, I said it wasn't time to panic, but I think it's time to panic. They've now fired their coach. They've made a trade for Adams, and things seem to still not to be working out. I said, technically it was their first year together because Aaron Rodgers got hurt last year and stuff. So I feel like the beginning of the season they were still maybe trying to get their footing going, and then you fire the coach and things like that. But there's only 17 games in football, so it's not like basketball where you can kind of get it going as late. Every win kind of matters a lot more here. So I think it's now time to hit the panic button. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers has that famous quote when he said like we will win out, and he ended up winning out and making the playoffs or whatever the case is. I don't know if this is that situation, but I do think it's time to start panicking.
Yeah, I think their season is over, and I never ever like I'm one of the guys that I don't knee jerk. I wait and I wait and I wait to have, an opinion. I think it's done with them, and I don't know what their problem is. It's on paper, it seems like they got enough on offense, right? They wanted to get the glue guy quarterback to bring everything in because they've been striking out on quarterbacks since God knows when. And let's be real. Salah's gone because they were pandering to A-Rod. I don't know why or how the relationship between him and Salah was bad, especially if he's a defensive guy. Like, I don't get it. Salah wasn't calling the plays. I don't know what happened there, what the dynamic was, but it was clear to me that A-Rod didn't want him in there. The Jets swear that he's the savior, so they said, okay, we want to keep Mr. Rogers happy. Salah, you're gone. You know what I mean? Um, that's not working out. Ulbrich, good linebacker, was a good play with my Niners. That it's not there. I don't know what this issue is. Defense is still playing all right. You don't lose, or are they? What was the score in that Arizona
Oh,
game?
a
They
lot
let
too
them.
little, a lot too
Yeah,
little. I think
yeah.
they only scored 6 points.
That means that team is mentally checked out. It's I don't know if it starts with Rodgers. I don't know if it's the coach thing. I think their season is done.
Look, this team is Aaron Rodgers' team. Every move that they've made since they signed him was moves that Aaron Rodgers wanted. The guy, Randall Cobb, people thought he was past his prime. Rodgers wanted him though. Let's bring
Yep.
him in. Let's get out. Let's sign Alan Lazard.
Yep.
Okay. Nathaniel Hackett. The biggest reason why their offense hasn't done anything. Nathaniel Hackett should not have gotten another offensive coordinator job after what we saw in Denver. This is realistic. This is realistic. But he's Rodgers' guy. Even the backup that they had last year outside of Wilson was Tim Boyle. That was a Packers guy. He was in the quarterback room with Rodgers. They trade the trade for Devontae Adams. You cannot tell me that was not coming as off as a request of Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
This whole thing, everything that we're seeing is Aaron Rodgers. And I've been waiting to bring this up. Remember, he missed an entire mini camp in the beginning of the year to go take a trip to Egypt, which he got called out for by Robert Saleh. Probably was the first strike in their relationship, going down. My whole thing when that happened was that's fine, but you better go out and you better ball. Because if you don't ball, people are going to start bringing that up again. And it's been, enough time where if you go into New York right now and you listen to your favorite sports radio show or you turn on your favorite New York-based sports show, they're bringing that up again. I don't know what it is that the Jets are going to do because Rodgers, even though it didn't sound very committed when he said it. He's already entertaining the idea of coming back. He's 40 years old. The Jets, I believe, this is a very talented roster. I believe they are a quarterback away. I don't know where that's coming from because who's going to want to sign there after this? This just kind of heightens the history of how people view the Jets, the Jets organization. If you're a free agent, if the Steelers don't want to re-sign Russell Wilson, which Russell Wilson looks great with the Steelers right now, he still shows us things that let us know he's on the back end of his career. If you're Russell Wilson, knowing that you're on the back end of your career, are you going to go sign with the New York Jets? Regardless? Because Aaron Rodgers does not look like Aaron Rodgers anymore.
Mm-mm. I mean, and I'm glad you brought up Russell Wilson because I've been saying ever since he left Seattle, like, what are you guys talking about? He's still got it. I would know he's put my team through hell. Okay. I have heart attacks, just thinking about what he did to my Niners on several occasions at the end of games. One bad season in Denver, people are calling him dumb. By the way, I think he threw like 6 or 8 picks last year on 26 touchdowns. It makes no sense to me. So I'm glad he's having the season that he's having. But it just seems toxic over there. And it kind of makes you feel like, is A-Rod the problem? Like, I don't know what it is. You just said, it seems like they got the pieces on offense. I don't know. Is it Hackett? I have no idea. But they probably need, a cleansing from top to bottom. I don't know. It's like they're giving them you're giving him, all right, what do you want, what you need? And if I'm Russell Wilson, no, I wouldn't want to go to. I would want to go to another team that's maybe one quarterback away that needs, that leadership piece or something like that. But I wouldn't want to take my talents over to freaking the Meadowlands.
Okay, you.
Yeah, I mean, there's still the New York factor. For some reason, people love to come play in New York. So I think, obviously, a wise man once told me you're only as good as your options. So we see what his options are next year, and maybe he'll consider it. But like you said, there seems to be a lot going on with New York football at the moment. So some people may try to stay away from it.
Well, let's talk about that too. On the other side of the building, you have the New York Giants who took a pitiful loss to the Carolina Panthers.
That's debatable. That's debatable. Yeah, I get this number one pick.
Are you gonna have to get into that for me because I thought I knew who the worst team in football was before I turned that on. I set an alarm to watch that game, thinking I know I'm not gonna come across many wins this season. Let me watch this so I can at least watch one. But that didn't happen.
But you might get the number one pick, so it's a trade-off. You gotta lose to win sometimes.
Oh, no. I'm all in on the tanking thing. I'm just like it's which I usually haven't been into in the past. But this Daniel Jones guy, man, he's got to go. And I'm calling sabotage. I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. There is no way that John Mara doesn't have anything to do with Daniel Jones still being on this team. I read body language, I listen to quotes. I haven't seen anything from Joe Shane or Brian Dable in their 3 years here that really tells me that they've ever truly loved this guy. You can argue the contract thing. Who's to say John Mara, who has publicly defended Daniel Jones for some odd reason, didn't have anything to do with that? Hey, look, we want a playoff game, we're 9-win season. Bring him back. Let's bring him back. In the same season that he said we've done everything we possibly could to ruin this guy. I don't care what happens. We're going out for Thanksgiving this year. I told my lady book the time for when that Dallas Giants game is on because I'm not watching it. I like Shane, I like Dable. Let these guys finally get their quarterback. I want that quarter. I would love Sanders, but it seems like him and his dad wanting to be a Raider. Give me Cam Ward. Whatever you got to do to get Cam Ward, I'm not waiting anymore. It's been 6 years, fellas. 6 years of this. No other organization has ever and will ever give a guy this long of a chance.
He's been in the league. It's been that long, 6 years.
6 years.
My
I think
bad, because I go ahead, Kay.
we played him 2018 homecoming when he was at Duke. I think that was his last year, and he came to Miami, and
Damn.
they actually won that game.
I was one of the guys advocating for him because I thought he'd be a solid pro, especially knowing who he was coached by in college. David Cutcliffe, had a hand in, Peyton's career when he was over at Tennessee. So it's just not working out for him. It was one of those tweets that got me. They're like, now you can see, I think it says something like, now you can see what Daniel Jones looks like with a clean pocket. The man had like 5 seconds to throw, poised, everything, looked at his receiver, threw it into the dirt 20 yards down the field. I was like, oh, damn. I thought they was going to say, like, look, this guy could be a good quarterback if you give him time. And they were just trolling him the whole freaking time. But, yeah, it's time. I just hope, and you guys tell me because I haven't really kept up with it in terms of, New York Giants news. Tell me Dable isn't considered being replaced because this is not his. Did they make the playoffs his first year? Like
They made the playoffs his first year, and I would argue last year was even more of an impressive coaching job because of what he had to do to keep that team together.
They better not try to find somebody else. They better not.
I'm praying on it. There's like because my thing, the media can sometimes drive decisions too. There's a lot of people in New York who are calling for his head. There's a couple people. Shout out my guy Art Stapleton from NJ.com, who said that it would be dumb to replace him, and I agree with him. I mean, if you switch, obviously we know it's resetting because you're getting the new quarterback. But if you change regimes, it's blow the whole thing up because you already got a couple people that you think are going to be your cornerstones. And to us, the obvious answer is Malik Neighbors will be one of those guys.
Yeah.
I survived the Dave Gettleman era. Who's to say? Who's to say that the next guy that comes in might not want Malik Neighbors?
Right.
I don't know.
I think me.
Go ahead, Kay.
I was saying, Rich, me and you talked about this maybe a few weeks back, and when we talked about it, I was saying how that would just set them back. It would since Dable and Shane got there, they've never really had the chance to put their own team together. You were kind of stuck with the quarterback that was given to you, and then you was also stuck in a situation where like have you didn't have the cap space to really do anything. So you're also stuck with no cap space and the quarterback that was given to you. And then you kind of felt like we never really had the offensive line to give him the opportunity to see what he really could be. So now you see what he really could be. This is your chance to kind of move on and really give those guys a clean slate. So to get rid of them, it would just be a waste of 4 years because you kind of built up those 4 years to get to this point where you can now clean house, clear some cap space, do everything you need to do so they can get their pieces exactly in. Just to get rid of that and then kind of start all over with someone else who has to come back in, put in a system, start getting the people they want in, would just kind of set you back 2 or 3 years.
And then you don't want to pay Saquon. What?
Yo, I love that you said that. Everybody who has been killing them for not paying Saquon. I'm talking to you.
That's crazy, man.
If they paid Saquon Barkley, are the Giants winning the Super Bowl this year? So why are we talking about paying Saquon Barkley? The quote, the Hard Knocks quote went over everybody's head when he said we're not paying the quarterback $40 million to hand it off to the running back. That quote literally meant this year we're gonna find out if we can move on or not. If we sign Saquon Barkley, we're not gonna find that out. It's gonna be 2022 all over again. We need to know where we're going with this thing. That's why he didn't get paid.
I think that goes back to my last point. He kind of got caught in like collateral damage of the situation that was going on. On top of the fact that you just paid Daniel Jones all that money, your cap situation probably wasn't where you wanted to be. You're still working on it. You wanted to pay him, but to Rich's point, he just said we wouldn't find out about this quarterback situation. So you may pay him and be stuck paying that quarterback all that money. So he kind of got caught in a weird situation where he was maybe collateral damage to just how bad the situation was.
I'm praying that Cooper Rush. I'm scared they're gonna beat Dallas on Thanksgiving. I'm all in on the tank. I'm all in on the tank now. I've always been the guy that was, we gotta win because it's just better for the team. Nobody wants to go lose. Bro, I've been saying that for 6 years, 5 years. I've been saying that for 5 years. I'm done. This is the definition of being in quarterback. Hell, somebody get us out of it. Like let these guys. Cam Ward, please, Cam Ward.
The messed up thing about it is that we kind of knew, but there was always well, we haven't really given him the proper chance. But you knew that this just wasn't it. So it's like, it's been time to move on. But now we can say we gave you a fair chance. So it's like, we didn't do you completely dirty. We gave you your chance. We gave you your chance. We even got rid of our best player to give you a better chance. I don't want to hear nothing
Right.
from you.
Right. And they basically like chose him over the better player, which again, no problem with, no problem with. You know, as far as quarterback, running back. Even though I've never been a Daniel Jones guy, but I just can't wait. I heard the '70s was really bad. The last 10 years have been. I mean, they went to the playoffs in 16, and Aaron Rodgers just. I don't want to talk about that. And then 2022 was fun, but 2022 might have set him back a couple more years. Joe Shane was scouting C.J. Stroud heavy that year. He never got the chance to get a quarterback that he wanted. He got a little bit pressured into signing this quarterback because hey, we just won a playoff game. It accelerates a little bit. Whatever. We know what this team is. I can
I
go on
mean,
and on.
he still could have took a quarterback. You know what they say, the best time to find a job is when you have a job. So
Yep.
there's been so many
His
other teams that found quarterbacks. You think about the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers situation, and then Jordan Love right behind that. People find quarterbacks when you have a quarterback.
who were they going to take? Like his best shot was to sign Russell Wilson, which I thought that was a mistake too, not letting him know that he was going to be able to compete for the job. But I'm just at the point now. I don't even want to vet. I don't want to vet. I love Shane. I love Dable. Dable's the one. Dexter Lawrence was a good player when he came into the league. Dable's the one that made the hire on the defensive staff that turned him into what he is now. I don't see anything wrong with this. People talk about the flea flicker play on 3rd and 2 on a Sunday morning. It's 3rd and 2. They probably should have ran it. That play works if another quarterback is behind center. This team is being held back by a quarterback. Let these guys finally go get their quarterback. That's
I
it.
probably I probably can find an episode from maybe 2 years ago, and you probably said the same thing. So we we knew this. We knew this already, but it's time now.
Mike, the NFC West is probably, I don't know, we can argue if it's the best division in football, but it damn sure is the most competitive. Everybody's got virtually the same record. They're about a loss or two apart. And just when you thought that the 49ers might have been out of it with all those injuries, everybody's coming back. C-Mac first game looked pretty good. The rookie we were just talking about that got shot right before the season, touchdown pass, we talked about it.
Yep.
Are the 49ers back and is the NFC on notice?
The 49ers are not back because they still got guys coming back. So uh they're not back yet. And plus their special teams. Let me tell you something, man. It already cost them a game. All right. It already cost them a game. It almost cost them this past Sunday at Tampa Bay, who probably should have beat KC last, what was it, Monday night. But once, KC won that coin toss, you already knew what was up. But I was kind of scared going into that game. But C-Mac, she still got Drake Greenlaw, who's coming back. They didn't make a huge move at the trade deadline. They picked up a defensive tackle. I forgot from where. I don't know if I remember if it was Houston or Cleveland, but they needed that because they're part of their best D tackle Hargrave. He went out early in the year or in the preseason. I can't remember, with a torn pec. They're saying he's going to come back. I don't know how you come back from a torn pec in the same year and be effective, or productive, I should say. I don't know. But 6-4 atop the NFC West, and the Niners gave up that game when they played Arizona. Niners are sitting pretty, a game behind 5-4. Then the Rams and the Seahawks are 4-5. Rams got the Seahawks this week. I believe they're at Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. But nobody's talking about the Niners, and I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand why these people get paid the money that they do, because all they do is knee jerk, like, the average Joe fan sometimes. Like, nobody's talking about the 49ers, and this is the team that everybody was saying that if healthy, they're the best team in the NFC, and they picked them to go back to the Super Bowl, beating Detroit in the NFC Championship game. Me, I didn't feel that way. Yeah, Detroit, cool. I needed to see Detroit do it a second time because, again, I that's one thing you could always count me on, is I'm not a knee jerker. They had a great season last year. They had my Niners on the ropes in the NFC Championship game, but I need to see it more than once. I need to see it more than once. They're doing it right now, but I was more afraid of the Eagles. because I thought the Eagles were going to come back strong, and they're sitting pretty right now. They're at what? They're 7-2. So that's
Big game
another one.
tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
Divisional game tomorrow, Washington and Philly.
It's going to be a hell of a game. So, that's a Thursday night game. All right, that's going to be something to watch. But people were talking about the Philly defense, feeling like trash earlier on in the season, and but the Niners, man, yeah, they got everything coming back. McCaffrey looks healthy. They were working him back in slowly towards like the middle of October, end of October to now, and so far so good. But the Niners, their schedule coming up is as follows. Like I said, they got Seattle this week on the road. Hold on, is it on the road? No, they're at home. They go to the Packers. They go to Buffalo. They're home against the Bears and then the Rams. They come down to Miami. They host Detroit, and then they finish off the regular season at Arizona. So they could easily get 10 wins, maybe 11. I don't know if that's going to be enough to get them where they want. Obviously, they want to at least play one playoff game at home. I don't know, but I got them winning the division. This is a team that's going to get hot at the right time, and you as a Giants fan know better than anybody that getting hot at the right time is more important. Ask the 9-7 Giants team that won that Super Bowl with Eli.
Okay, you got anything on it?
No, I don't have much to add. You can go ahead, Rich.
I mean, that's definitely the most fun division to me right now. I don't even kill the Rams just couldn't get anything going on offense against Miami. Miami is, I know Bill Parcells has the famous quote, you are what your record says you are. Miami is, we all know, is a different team with Tua versus without Tua. And they've since shown that. They played a really good game against Buffalo the week before that. And they did their thing for the most part against the Rams. So that'll be, like we were talking about the Jets earlier. The Miami would be a team that I think has a chance to get in. But that it's gonna be a gauntlet. But there will, I promise you, there will be an 8 or 9 win team that makes it into the AFC playoffs.
They're 3-6 right now.
Look at what's in front of them. They have two. I think they play the Patriots this week.
So they got the Raiders at home, followed by the Patriots.
You should win that game.
You should win both of the next two games, Raiders and Patriots. They go to Green Bay.
That's a winnable game.
They go to Green Bay, then the Jets at home. That's another one that they should win. Okay. They go to Houston, who all of a sudden looks weird. All right. They host my Niners, and then they finish out the season on the road at Cleveland and the Jets. Yeah, that's
out of every team that you named, there's only one team that I would pick them to lose against. Everything else is either like they should win or they could win.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't realize what their schedule was down the stretch, but it's favorable. All right, just tell Tua to stop leading with his head after throwing.
Yeah, man, he's gotta cut that out, bro.
Is Tua back?
He's been back 3 weeks now.
Yeah, wow. But he was doing his best to be out again after he threw a pick yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know, like even somebody just needs to tell him, like, if you throw a pick or whatever, just go sit down, go to the sideline, whatever. And then like that the last play that everybody was talking about with that, there was a lineman in front of him. I didn't get it. But the NFC West is gonna be fun, man. It's definitely gonna be fun. I haven't given up on the Seahawks yet. I still think they've got good ball to play. The Rams, I think, are back. And then, Arizona's, so there were some people that wrote Kyler Murray off. I wasn't one of them, but he's showing you why you shouldn't have wrote him off. I mean, he's got weapons over there, and it's going to be something to behold. I think about it. I don't know, man. It's going to be I think this is going to be something that runs through the whole season. This won't be decided until maybe like the final week of the season. I think that they're all just that. I think they're all that close.
I wouldn't doubt that. I do have the Niners winning it. I think they're going to get hot. Brock Purdy has been playing. Tell me you don't think he's one of those. He's a game manager. Like, you can't, like, that narrative has to be out the window now, right?
No, I think we've moved past that. Especially like even the amount of guys he lost this season, and they were still in games. It wasn't like they were getting blown out the water.
They were scoring points. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks. He wasn't throwing interception, and he was making plays off script. That doesn't sound like a game manager to me. The dude is a top 10 quarterback. I probably got him top 6 or 7, maybe.
Talk that talk, Mike.
Top 10.
Man, the football season's been fun, y'all. It's definitely been on all ends, college and NFL so far has been
Mhm.
fun. Unless you're a Giants fan like me and Kayson, or
Whoa,
Jets
whoa,
fans.
whoa, whoa, whoa! Don't speak too
What do
soon,
you
man.
mean?
Number one pick coming. Number one pick coming. You gotta look at the positive things.
I feel you. Let's go ahead and get into hoops, man.
Wait, I got one more thing. Do you guys
Go
think the
ahead.
Chiefs go undefeated? Do they finish the season undefeated?
Somebody will beat the Chiefs, bro. This has been the most unimpressive undefeated run I've ever seen in my life.
Somebody's going to beat them. And even here's another one that a lot of people aren't. Once you know you got that number one seed in the bag, they're going to sit guys. They're
Right.
going to sit guys, and that undefeated record is not going to mean look. I thought I couldn't believe when what was it 2 weeks ago when Mahomes looked like he blew out his knee. I thought it was a
And he
knee.
got back up. Yeah, yeah, me
He got back
too.
up. Apparently it ended up being an ankle, but stuff like that can happen. You saw how nonchalant, non-contact that was. You're going to want to avoid that. They're going to sit guys. They're going to have at least one loss on the season.
I
Yeah,
think if you're a Chiefs fan, you probably want to lose before this season's over. Because if they go undefeated into the playoffs,
I mean, my Niners are going to be there in the Super Bowl anyway, so
you guys getting it against
we're
Detroit.
getting this year. We're getting this year. We're
All
getting
right,
this.
all right, I'm gonna hold you to it. Let's go ahead and get into hoops, fellas. I wanted to start off with the New York Knicks. Yes, our favorite topic on this show, the New York Knicks. I've had a couple, we had the episode where Stat came on and he combated a lot of the people that are anti-cat trade, who for some reason are Knicks fans. And since then, the Knicks are 5-5. So we've had those same people come up and talk about maybe they shouldn't have traded for him. We had everything fine. They didn't need to make any moves. Guys, it's an 82 game season. We're 10 games into the season. You traded for Carl Anthony Towns during training camp.
Right.
Bridges. We talk a lot about his shot. Bridges was the number one option for the Nets last year. He's the third option on this Knicks, arguably, because you can make an argument. OG is the third option on this team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These guys, 10 games in, and we talk about the Villanova guys playing together. Bridges hasn't played with these guys in years. My brother was a senior in high school the last time that they played together. It's been a long time since then. So, I think we just got to pump the brakes on how we're evaluating things. It's 10 games in. We get like 30, 40 games and they still look like this. Talk to me. But I don't anticipate that.
yeah, I don't anticipate that either. I mean, there's been some bright spots. You see, Karl Anthony Towns has actually played really, really well. I mean, I think I seen a stat that said that like people are shooting like 90% against him at the rim.
Yeah.
That's bad, but offensively, he's fitting pretty good, man. He's looked pretty good offensively, grabbing boards and things like that. And you got to remember they're still injured. Some of their bench depth is not there, so Precious Achua, things like that, guys who are going to come off the bench and bring energy and just give those guys a little bit of a breaking and give teams a little something different. So I think they'll be fine. I think they got to get things going. There's been some bright spots, there've been some down spots, but the trade happened what a couple of days before the season started, so you expect the ups and downs, but I think Klay Thompson said this last night. It's better to go through it now than later on in the season. So
Yeah.
let them figure things out, let them get healthy, and I think they'll be fine. Only one concerning thing is Brunson hasn't looked as great to start this season, but I trust he'll figure it out.
And you gotta wonder if that's attributed to getting acclimated to a guy that's used to being the first option. Well, not lately because you're talking about Ant Edwards over in Minnesota, but Cat was the number one option on his team for a while before Ant got there, and situationally he probably still was, depending on the matchup or what have you. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's going to be the case this season with New York. I think this is Brunson's team. And, depending on the matchup, yeah, there may be nights that, Cat goes off. Obviously, that's going to happen. The guys, has first team All NBA potential. But I think when it comes down to it, you've seen how Brunson has performed in the playoffs. And depending on how you talk to, that's kind of been Cat's thing when he was with Minnesota, not performing well in the playoffs or what have you. But you got to wonder if Brunson's saying, "All right, let me do what I can to help bring this guy in." Um, I don't know if it's that. I don't know because I've really only seen 2 full games of Knicks basketball this year, and one of them was the very first game of the season. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just getting acclimated as a team altogether. I have no idea. I do not expect them to be towards the bottom of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference when all is said and done. I think they're a top 5 team, maybe top 4. Obviously, health is a big thing, but I think they'll figure it. I think they got a lot of pieces, man. Remember, they're trying to beat Boston. Everybody's trying to catch up to Boston, and they made a trade that they think that can do that. Um, the one thing is this. Uh, they're trying to catch Boston. Everybody's trying to catch Boston. But if Philly's healthy, are they better than Philly? Like, who you taking in the 7-game series? Because the question is who's in the race for second when it comes to the Eastern Conference? Is it going to be New York? Is it going to be Philly? Is it going to be Indiana? Is it going to be Orlando? I have Milwaukee. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. But
Yeah, no, Mike, I'm as long as Doc Rivers is coach of that team, I'm off him.
so I mean, are they better than Philly right now? So and Philly's not looking good because Joel with the health thing. So I mean, it's still early, man. There's way more questions than answers right now, and I think Knicks fans is probably it's best to just chill.
When we had Stat on, he kind of said it best as far as like, who are you worried about coming in to a postseason? If you're the Knicks, and the Boston's the obvious answer, but the way you expect things to go for the Knicks, you don't expect them to face Boston until the conference finals.
Right.
Stat put it best. I completely agreed with him. If you got a healthy Philly team, then I'm picking Philly, and it has nothing to do with talent. Because to be honest with you, I actually think that the Knicks are the overall more talented team.
Okay.
Playoffs is where coaching comes into consideration. We've said things about Doc. You're a Bulls fan. You've lived through it. Tibbs, there's things that we complain about with Tibbs as a coach. I think Nick Nurse will run circles around Tibbs if they got a fully healthy team going up against the Knicks. They beat the Sixers in 7 games last year with a less than healthy Embiid and Maxey. That's really all you had in those series.
In Tibbs' defense, I don't think Nick Nurse has been doing a great job right now. And I know they have the injuries, and I guess they have a new team. They're putting it together, but I still feel like their record shouldn't be what it is.
Okay.
I feel like
Why are you saying that though? Because I
I feel like there
mean,
was some winnable games in there, even without Joel Embiid and maybe Paul George in there. There were some winnable games. I feel like that Clipper game in LA, where I think you had Maxi and PG. I feel like that's a winnable game. Uh, but obviously PG is only his second game coming back, so I don't know. I feel like sometimes good coaches can get you wins with. Not saying he's a bad coach at all, because obviously he's a championship coach, but I feel like maybe I'm being too harsh. Like I said, they just put the team together, but I feel like there were some winnable games in there.
I think the Knicks are going to turn for the better because I think this team is going to pick up steam defensively, right? Now, do they run out of gas like a lot of people said they did last year? I don't know. And you want to know what's funny? We talked about all the teams playing second place, try to catch up to Boston. I didn't. I don't know if you guys thought about Cleveland. I'm not taking them for real. You want to know why I see Cleveland? Remember that year that Atlanta looked good with 60 something wins?
Everybody's saying that. I got somebody send me that the other day.
I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet. But well, I guess we'll get into that later. But I think the Knicks are going to pick up steam because I think they're going to start to play defensive a lot better defensively. I mean, this is one of the best teams, or if not the best team last year. Defense on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's going to carry them. I really do because you don't have to worry about scoring. This is Tibbs' most talented team that he's probably ever had.
Thank
Because
you.
in Chicago, we all know what the situation there was. It was always who's Robin. Damn sure wasn't Barlow's Coozer. Yes, I said Barlow's Coozer. And Jimmy came in later on. It was kind of too late. Rose got hurt, but I don't think they should be really focused on that because it'll come together. It's not hard to score in the NBA. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Guys don't really play defense like that, but I think this team will because you look at of teams that really take defense as a priority. The Knicks are one of the few that really, and because of their head coach. So that's just me throwing that out there. I think the Knicks are going to make a turn. They'll get hot defensively, and I think it'll matter.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Last thing before we get out of here, the Golden State Warriors. Shout out to my guy Rashad, man. We had a really good conversation, so I had to bring it onto the show. A lot of people have counted out the Warriors as far as championship goes. Now, the Warriors right now are 9-2, one of the top teams in the West. Let me read a couple things off to you. Big win last night to start off the NBA Cup, 120, 117. Steph Curry just went and shot Klay Thompson in the Mavericks out of the gym. Shot 37 points, 42% from three. It's not what I want to talk about though, because we know what Steph's gonna do. We know Draymond's still there, and we know Steve Kerr's still the head coach over there. The most underrated signing in NBA free agency to me was the Warriors bringing in Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is averaging 17 points right now. He's shooting 47% from three. Again, I know it's early, but Buddy Hield has been, as far as shooting goes, Buddy Hield has been like that. Been like that. And then you got Kaminga. He's averaging about 35% from three. They still got Draymond over there. Y'all, I think that the Warriors have reinvented themselves. Pardon me if y'all disagree. When they brought Hield in, and I know right now he's not starting, to me, they got offensively, they got a younger Klay Thompson.
I mean, the only person in the NBA that has made more threes in the last couple of years than Steph Curry has been Buddy Hield. So he's always been a shooter and he's always been knocking it down. So he's came in there and we've seen other people like Wiggins. He wasn't a great 3-point shooter, and I think that one year he came in there and the first year with the Warriors and he was knocking them down. So the Warriors just seem to have that type of effect on guys. So you take someone that can shoot already and you bring him in there, and now he's with Steph Curry every day, and he's playing amazing. So he does deserve his credit for what he's been able to come off the bench and do for them. Obviously, I think they're starting Melton because defensive purposes. He also can knock down a three, but I think Buddy gives them someone off the bench when you're trying to give Clay some, give Steph some rest. And Melton's just a better defender right now. So I think this Warriors team is reminding me a lot of that 2022 team, where they just had a lot of depth and they started that season off really well too, and kind of was able to make a run later on. Now I'm not saying they're gonna win a championship because I'm not convinced, but I feel like it has that same type of like depth that the team is kind of orchestrated the same.
First of all, I want to say that I called them winning a championship in 2022. I got the audio to prove it. Okay, if anybody wants to fact check me, just holler at me. I called that, and I will agree and disagree with you, Rich, about saying that the Warriors have reinvented themselves. I agree with the fact that because there's a lot of championship uh, metal and a lot of principles that they still, just because you lose half of the Splash Brothers, doesn't mean that they're changing their principles. They're not. They're running a lot of the same things, this, that, and the third. So that's how I believe how they stayed the same. Well, how I believe they're different is because this is probably the most athletic Golden State Warriors team we've seen since Steph has been on that roster. Okay, remember when they were winning, even with KD, KD was probably their best athlete and on the team, and he's not known for being a super athlete. The dude is a great scorer, ball handler. He's 7-footer doing crazy video game stuff. Okay, great, but he's not known for being super duper. He's not the best athlete on the floor. KD's never been the best athlete on the floor, but this is probably the most athletic Warriors team that we've seen since their run. And there's no coincidence that they won back to back when you add an athletic guy, but like I said, not the super athletic guy in KD. That was when they were invincible, right? I don't think it's a surprise that this is happening. I love Buddy Hield coming off the bench because I think it gives them a spark at that unit. Coming off the bench, Kevon Looney coming off the bench, I think it's awesome too. You're talking about a championship guy that knows how to get it done off the bench. All of this, and I think Kyle Anderson's not healthy. I think that's an underrated guy. That's a guy that you can't speed up. He's gonna run offense. He's gonna, make the right play, make the right pass. I love him on that team. But going back to Buddy Hield, this offense is tailor made for him. The
Oh
K
yeah.
just said, outside of Steph, he's the guy that's made the most threes in the past couple of years in the NBA. This offense is tailor made for him, and I think he has a green light. He's one of the two guys. There's two guys on that team that got a green light, and I think he's one of them. You know what I mean? Wiggins, they won that. I'm not gonna say they won the championship because I'm in 22. Steph went off, but Wiggins was huge in that finals run, and
Mhm.
so if we can get back to being comfortable in that third role, I think that's big too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
nah.
like you said, I don't think they really reinvented themselves. I just think they reloaded and got back more guys that fit the system. Like the Buddy Hill's perfect. You even think about you brought up Kyle Anderson. He fits it. He's kind of like Draymond. He's a big that can kind of play the point and set guys up and do things like that. And then you bring in Melton as a defender. So and he also can shoot three. So they're running the same stuff. They just reloaded. And if you think about
Yeah,
all the other times that they won, it was always strength in numbers, and they're kind of back to that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I could see them not, depending on how things shape out. I know we're still in the beginning of the season, but right now they sit at three in the standings with Phoenix and OKC ahead of them. I wouldn't pick them to beat OKC, but if I'll tell you what, if I saw them end up having a matchup with Phoenix, and Phoenix is light years better than they were last year so far, I don't
right.
know, I don't think I wouldn't. It would be hard to say that Phoenix would outright beat them. Like I wouldn't be shocked if so far from what I'm seeing from the Warriors that's a matchup that would scare you if you're a Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And
I think if I was Dallas too, I wouldn't want to match up with them. Not just
Yeah,
about what happened last night. Just if I was Dallas, I wouldn't want to match up with them either.
and here's another thing. I can't remember how many games Curry missed when he was out with that ankle, but it seemed like they didn't miss a beat. I think they
no,
they have lost one game at Cleveland, but they beat the Curry. No, Curry played in that game
He
against
played.
Boston. He did play
He
in that
played.
game.
yeah,
He played the one in He came back the game at Boston. He played the one in Cleveland, but he missed
Okay,
all the games. Like he missed like 5 games before that.
I
So
don't think they
before the Boston
lost.
game. Yeah, they were still rolling.
no, they
So
only
that's what I'm
have
saying.
two losses on the year.
Clay's also. I mean, Steph's. I don't know. I keep saying Clay. Steph's also only playing like 25 minutes a night right now, which is kind of
Perfect.
ridiculous when you think about it.
It is, and that speaks of him having that much more juice, in the playoffs. When it really, 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 really matters. Because I'm sorry, we're all hoop heads. November basketball matters, right, guys? Please tell me you agree with me. Please tell me you
Yeah,
agree
'cause-
with me.
hey, the NBA Cup, the
Thank
championship
you. Okay.
matters.
I just hate when people say. I just hate when people say that games in October, games in November don't matter because guess what? When you're fighting for that first seed, you're gonna wish you took that game in November seriously. I just hate when people say that.
Yeah,
Yo,
yeah.
whoever wins the cup this year is nasty work if you put that in the that is a hallway banner. That's a hallway banner. The lake, I don't know what the Lakers y'all have sunk, but keeping that up there. That is a hallway banner. I'm not saying don't honor it. That should go up somewhere. But I ain't putting that up. Like if Boston won it, I'm not putting that up there with all the championship banners. The Knicks won it, I'm
Didn't
not putting that. No way. No way. That thing
didn't
is
the league
if
make the Lakers put it up there?
you
Didn't
think
they
they
make
did?
them do it? I thought I heard something about. I don't know how accurate it is. It probably could have been some BS that was fed to me, but I thought I heard somebody say that they're making the team hang them.
I think
It,
it would be interesting how it's received this year because last year it was like, oh, we don't know. And then when they got it, it's like, well, we were the first people to do it. So it was
Right.
something where it's like, okay, we were the first to do it. Now that you're not the first to do it, I wonder how it's going to be received because people received it better last year. Like, oh, well, let's go for it to be the first people to say they ever did this.
Right.
what's the how heavy are the incentives now? It's just you get the guys are getting paid a little extra money. Is there's no
Right.
like there's no competitive advantage or anything like that to it.
think so. I
I
don't
mean,
think
it's
because
the sorry,
go ahead.
Mike. To
No, go
Mike's
ahead.
point, the matches still count on your record. So, I mean, that plus some money. So, you lose that game on a random Tuesday because it's the NBA Cup. That could be the reason why. Think about the Nuggets last year. They lose a game. Shake buzzer beater sends them to the 3 seed instead of the 1 seed, and they end up playing the Wolves in the second round. So.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Besides it like counting against your record, it's I think it's money, and then yeah, you're trying to motivate people because it's a championship. That too.
Yeah.
I'm putting that if the Knicks won the NBA Cup and I'm James Dolan and and in the front office over there, I'm putting that next to the Patrick Ewing display in the hallway. No, it's not going. It's not.
I'm
It's not going up.
I'm not mad at what the Lakers did. If you put it up, make it different. Don't let it look like an NBA championship banner. I
They
guess
they even
the
raised it like it was a championship. I mean, yeah,
yeah, but yeah,
it
but
literally
you
is a championship, but it's not the championship.
but
You don't celebrate it the same way.
they I don't think they necessarily celebrated the same way, but they put something up and you let it know that it's a difference. So I think that's a good job that they did, letting it know like, hey, this one was it like black and yellow, and
I don't
they made it
remember.
look different. It might also be a little smaller. So they made it a little different. So it's like we're gonna celebrate this, but we're gonna still let you know it's not an NBA championship. So we're not overdoing it.
How would
I'm
y'all feel if it was a my bad? How would y'all feel if it was a halftime thing? Like because they did it right before the game, like you would with a championship banner. How would y'all feel if it was a halftime thing? You don't have to pay a halftime performer. The halftime celebration is put in the NBA Cup banner up, and then we get back to the game.
I'm fine with that because I don't think they're gonna make it a big thing. I don't think the Lakers made it. I don't remember, but I don't think the Lakers made it like a big thing. It was like, hey, look, we're revealing it. Hey, it's up, guys. Clap, 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 and they kind of went on with themselves. So we're not about to sit here like it's the NBA championship one where we watch it go up and everyone touches rings and the game starts later and stuff like that. So I think you acknowledge it. Hey, it's up there. It looks a little different. We won, and then I'm fine with that. If they do it at halftime, I'm fine with that too.
Did they didn't get rings, right?
That I
Didn't
don't know. No,
they?
they got
I think
gold. They
they
got like
did.
gold medals. They got gold medals.
Yeah, they got. I know they
They
got
put
something.
they put them over
Okay.
their necks.
And I know
They got like
LeBron
gold
went in the
medals.
locker room and celebrated with the goggles, and he was popping bottles and everything. That
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what? This is not a championship. Like, what are you? It's nice you guys got to feel the what it feels like to win something, but this is not the goal. Like, I'm not going hard for this is not what I'm like putting my all
Listen,
into. I want to win the game, but I'm not celebrating that like that. Do not bring
li-
champagne bottles out in Vegas when you win
li-
the NBA
hey,
Cup. No way.
hey, Rich. There's some people that's two-way players that's making 500,000, and if
But
they
I'm not
win, they
hating
get
on that.
hey,
I'm not
they
even.
get if they win, they get another 500,000. Man, bring out them bottles. Bring out them bottles. Bring out them bottles, man. If I'm on a two-way contract, we win. Rich can't tell me nothing. Bring out them bottles, man. We celebrate.
guess what they're gonna make you do? They're gonna make you go out and be spend that 500,000 that night too. Oh.
Go ahead,
No,
Rook.
see,
Yeah,
You got it
right.
right.
no, see, that's why we're gonna celebrate here, and then we're gonna get back to the regular season. You gotta. That's when you be like, man, it's not no real championship. Let's go. Y'all playing around. We just celebrating in the locker room.
Oh man. Hey, let's leave. Y'all got anything before we get out of here?
No, but my Knicks are playing the Bulls right now. I mean, my Bulls are playing your Knicks right now, and
Not my
last I
Knicks. Not
checked.
my Knicks. My team has got a whole lot of issues right now that they need to
Oh yeah, my
solve.
bad. I
It's
forgot.
early. It's early.
Oh,
I forgot.
what a game! What a game! What a game!
It's 59-47. Bulls are up right now.
Last time I checked, the Sixers were up on the Cavs. Let's see if they can hold on to that. That'd be a good upset
Don't
for them with no Paul George or
we're
Embiid
Embiid,
today.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, man.
I'm still
Um,
wondering how that happened, Rich. That boy, that when I found that out, I was beside myself.
you
Born
talking
and
about the
raised.
cup, the
No, I'm talking about you being a Heat fan. Woo,
I
woo.
look. We can say that Kayson's not a Knicks fan either. Like like
I
it's
get
just
it,
we.
but being that you was in New York, and of all teams, the Heat, I found
yeah,
that to be
just
interesting.
Look, my
listen.
father hates it. My dad did a really like he tried his best. I had the Ewing poster on the wall. I went to the Marbury days. I was in there. I remember we was sitting low for the low. Um, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, man. That was a lot of. They're on the up now, but I've made my decision. I just that was
Okay,
that
respect.
Gotta
what
lay, gotta lay in the bed he made.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
But
the Bucks are 3-8. They're down right now to Detroit. It's only the second quarter. They're down
What?
8. How many more losses can Doc Rivers add, like stack up before they fire
are they? You think they'll fire Doc Rivers in season?
I would have been fired.
Hell, they fired what's the name last year. He had a winning record.
Yeah. But I mean,
But the,
would they do it with Doc though? Would they
but
would
it
they
makes
would they do that again
Who you
it
gonna
this
makes
hire?
it
year?
tough. It makes it tough because it's midseason, and then you just fired the coach last year. So you're gonna be paying three coaches because the two you fired are still getting paid from you, and then you'll have to hire a new one. That's what makes it tough. But I would have fired
They should have just never fired Budenholzer.
Oh,
It's made it, I don't, it
um,
didn't make sense when they did it. I mean, here's the thing, if you were gonna fire Budenholzer, who you won a championship with,
yeah,
then the hire shouldn't be a rookie head coach.
I agree. I agree. You're right. You're
I'm
right.
not too. Look, I'm not too mad about the Budenholzer fire because they were gonna fire him if they lost that net series. So he was kind of like he saved himself winning that championship.
For one year.
Katie's foot, Kyrie getting hurt, Katie's foot kind of saved his job. So after he won, it's like we can't fire him. So things kind of went on, and then you fired him. So I'm kind of not too mad at that. It was kind of over. It's kind of like when you and your girl are done, but then maybe she pops up pregnant, and it's like, well, can't break up now. So y'all wait a year or so, and after the baby comes out, and then y'all break up. That's what the situation was.
Well, what
Damn.
made them think Doc was the move though? Like you had him as the special advisor, and
He's a
one
championship
one
coach.
day, so someday somebody should do a 30 for 30 on how me and Mike work together. So he knows that where I stand on this too, because I brought this up in that chat at work too. Someday somebody should make a 30 for 30 on how much the 2008 Celtics cashed in on that one championship.
Hey,
Doc,
but they had
Doc
two
specifically.
finals runs though. They made it to the finals in 2010. You think KG doesn't get hurt in 2009? They're probably back in the finals in 2009. It was a good like 5 year stretch.
Yeah.
If LeBron James doesn't go off in that game six in 2012, they might be in the finals in
Yes.
2012.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true. That's
It
true.
was a good. It's one championship, and that's all people are gonna remember. But it was a solid 5 to 6 year run,
It was. You didn't
and
want
they
to play
were
Boston.
yeah, you didn't want. I was gonna say, and they were kind of like dominant. They not dominant, but they were like you didn't want to play them. You
Yeah.
knew like it
You
was
were
gonna
in
be a
for it. When
dogfight.
that defense would lock down and they passed the ball so well, my guy Rondo was killing it. I mean, I love Rondo. Y'all know how I feel about him. And after all of that, I still don't think Doc is a bad coach. I don't know, man.
We
I
gotta
don't
get
know,
you over to this.
man.
Yo, I used to think like you. I used to think like you. And I know that it was like that second to last Clippers season, or maybe the third to last Clippers season. I'm like, you know what, man? Everybody, I think everybody's right. Like,
I
where is the adjustments? You're giving up a lead. Why aren't you calling a timeout?
I
You
don't
know
think
what?
he's a bad coach. I think he should have like cashed out when he was on his high. I think it's his time has passed, and he should
Yeah.
have just cashed out when he was on top. And it's like you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And that's kind of where he's at. He stayed around long enough to see himself become a villain. He should have just cashed out on when he was on top and rode off into the sunset. His time has kind of passed. Offensive has changed. The NBA has changed a lot. And maybe he stayed the same, which has kind of hurt him.
You want to know what it is? I'm gonna tell you what it is right now. He's eighth all time in wins amongst coaches in NBA history. He's behind Phil Jackson. He's behind George Karl. He's behind Pat Riley. Everybody that he's behind of except one Greg Popovich is not coaching. So maybe he's just doing this to climb that list. And if people are stupid enough to hire him, you know what? I'd take the contract too. You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah, it's
saying?
free money. You're
It's
giving
free
it
money.
away.
I will
Oh,
say this though. I will say this. He has, and this is going back to the championship year in '08. I followed that Celtics team intensively because KG is one of my favorite players of all time. Period, hands down. It's Mike, KG. I love Jimmy Butler, I love Ray Allen, and I love Vince Carter. But when KG was over there, I was like, Boston was like my second team. They were giving up leads then.
Yep.
They were
mm-hmm,
Yep.
giving up. They
mm-hmm.
gave up a lead in Game 7 in 2010. They should have beat the Lakers in 2010, but they gave up, I think it was a 13-point lead. They had in the third
Yep.
quarter. They gave up a lead in Game 7. And this is a game that
Doc,
Yep.
Kobe Bryant played bad in, if you guys remember.
Yep.
He didn't have a
Yep.
good game.
Kobe
Doc,
played
So,
Doc
bad.
has
And
been doing.
if you remember those series, they went seven with the Atlanta Hawks in the first round. They should have never been seven with the Atlanta Hawks in
No,
the first round in
but
2008. And then the next series, they went seven with Cleveland. They went
they did.
six with Detroit, and then I think they went 6 with LA. So like they were squeaking at us some of those series. They
Were.
didn't win. They didn't win a game on the road until like the conference finals. I think. I think they lost
You're
all the
right.
home games
You're
against the
right.
Hawks. That's how they went 7. They lost all the home games against Cleveland. So
And I'll give.
Doc's been it's been in there.
It's
It's
true.
been
That's
there.
very true.
I'll take it a step further. He was the coach of the Orlando Magic once upon a time. He had a 3-1 lead. Blew that. Blew
Mm.
that. It's been going on his whole career.
His
And
defense in that
here's this.
case. Oh no, go ahead,
Go
Mike.
ahead.
No,
It's
go ahead,
really
Mike.
quick. Derrick Rose's rookie year. That's probably the best first round series I've ever seen. They had no business going 7 against that Bulls team, and that Bulls team
Mm-hmm.
took them 7 games. And I think that series had 3 overtime games.
They did have 3 overtime
That's a
games. Doc's defense in that Magic series, though, is that they were the worst team. They shouldn't have even been up 3-1.
bro. Do you know the one that killed me? Maybe this is what you're talking about. Like when they beat the Spurs. The Spurs are coming off their NBA titles 2015. They knock out the Spurs in 7 games. And then they play the Houston Rockets with James Harden and I think Dwight was on that team too.
Dwight and Josh Smith.
Yeah.
Uh,
They
I
were
think Corey
up
Brewer.
3-1. They were up 3-1 against a
They blew.
James Harden led team.
They blew Game
And
6, and James Harden was benched in the second half. They blew the game winning.
that's it. That's when you talk about the story of his career. That's the one. That's it. That's it. That's the one.
Damn. I think you talking me off the bandwagon. I like Doc, but the proof is in the pudding. He's been doing it forever. We just went back to 2007, rookie Rose, and here we are almost 20 years later. Damn.
The NBA came out with a list of like the top 10, top 15 coaches, something like that, and he was the only one on it who only had 1 championship. Everybody else on the list had multiple championships, and people were up in arms about it because they didn't think he should have been that high on the list.
Oh, I would like to see that list.
I would
Damn,
like to
Doc.
see the list too before I can kind of critique it.
I'll send it to you guys when we get off.
Because I
I'll
don't
look for it
know.
and send it to you.
Spo's
Wow.
I know
over him. That
Spoelstra's on it. Spoelstra's on it. Spo's on it. Phil
Spo's over
Jackson's
him
on
though,
it.
right?
Red Auerbach. Like
Oh, you
all the
talking about all
great,
time?
all
All
time, all
time.
time,
Oh,
all
okay.
time.
Pops
He's
over
top
him.
15? I would have him top 15.
Kerr's over
Might be
him too.
top 10. I gotta find that list, but there were a lot of people angry about the fact that his name was being mentioned amongst the other people that were there.
Oh, I would have him top 10. Definitely not top 10. Top 15? Nah, I'm not.
I'm trying to think about who got 2 championships. Yeah, I gotta see the list, and maybe we'll reconvene next time
I got y'all.
and talk
I'll
about the
get y'all to
list.
that. We got to do a whole doc thing. To
Now,
be continued.
shout out to Doc, man. Where'd he go after LA? He went to Philly.
He went to Philly. That didn't work out. That was pretty bad.
They were
The
up on
Philly run was pretty bad.
they were up on Miami with a chance to get to. Was he there when they lost to the Hawks too? Yeah, he was.
The Trey Young.
Yeah, or was that Brett
Ooh,
Brown?
Yeah.
Was that Brett Brown or
Ooh.
was that Doc? Because I remember the
it's
next year's when they
one
had problems with Ben Simmons. So I don't know if that was Doc, but
Wasn't he there for like a season with Ben and Embiid, and then was the year when he had
but
the issues with Ben?
I think he was there for
yeah.
one
So that's
year.
the year they lost. That's the year they lost to the Hawks.
Damn.
They supposed to be in the conference finals that year. And it would have been them versus fucking
2020, it
Bucks.
was 2021.
Yeah, yeah. The
I
Bucks
wonder
won.
how many 3-1 leads he's given up. That's what I'm.
I think it's 5. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's like 5
It's the
in his
Magic.
career.
It's
He
the
had one when he
Lakers.
was in Orlando.
The yeah the Magic, the Clippers series.
And a couple with the Clippers. I mean, we could even go in with the bubble. Come on, y'all had everything set.
Oh,
I had them going. You could not tell me the Sixers weren't going to win a championship in the bubble. They were the best team all year. That was a terrible coaching job.
they
You did
did
not
blow
have
up their
those guys
load
ready
in the
to
bubble.
play.
That's three right there that I remember off the top of my head.
That's just
And Mike, and look at Mike's face every time we bring it up and he remembers how it went.
yeah, it's bad, man. It's bad. I can't even defend it anymore, man. Damn. Wow.
But that Celtics run like shadows everything else when you really like think about it on the surface. You just think about how well that Celtics was a well-oiled machine
It really
when they
was,
were
man.
Yeah,
running.
perfect storm. Perfect storm.
Was.
If they don't win the '08 championship, he's just a good coach though. Like the '08 championship is going to get him in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, for
And I
sure.
have no problem with that, by the way. But if that doesn't happen, that doesn't happen.
Doc Rivers right now, as of today, has 1,118 career wins. He is less than 100, like maybe like 30, 40 some games away from overtaking Phil Jackson at 7. Phil Jackson has 1,155. Okay. He probably won't catch George Karl this year at 1,175, but that's who's after that. And then Pat Riley's 5th, 12-10.
I don't know if he's gonna make it past this year. If I'm Giannis, you already got one. It seems like you might have gotten one coach fired. You can do it again if he wants to stay there. If he wants to stay there,
That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's how we can get into a whole bunch of discussions.
yeah, we got to get back to this next week.
It's time for them to start taking phone calls though, because
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's what. Imagine if he coaches them to a lottery pick.
I think
With Dame, there's no excuse. You had a full you had half a season with them, and then now you're coming into you've had a whole training camp.
Yeah. That's why I thought this season was. I didn't put too much stock into last year, and I'm thinking just like how you said right now. Hey, you got half the season. Actually, make it so.
Someone said, "What's the difference in winning percentage between Doc and Phil?"
Ooh, I'll tell you right now.
They want
Whatever it is, even if it's close. I wouldn't be impressed. Phil's only coached 2 teams. Doc's had a longer coaching career, and he's coached way more teams.
Doesn't have the winning percentage here. Let me see if I can look it up.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure Phil had a better win percentage. He had Jordan in them. They won 72-10. They were barely losing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Doc though.
Praise up to Doc, man. Praise up to Doc. He came out. He had a mild stroke.
Okay, death, taxes, and Doc keeps a job.
Regular season. So they got it separated for regular season and playoffs. Let's just do regular season. So Phil Jackson is second all time in win percentage, 704.
Who's first?
Joe Mazzulla.
Okay.
739.
That makes sense.
Not Phil. Doc is. I'm at 20. He's not in the top 20.
It's not funny.
Jerry Sloan is at 25.
Okay.
JJ Redick is at 29.
So there's no game.
Doc Rivers is at 37, 586 win percentage, and this is regular season.
He's 37th all time.
37th. This is regular season win percentage. He's at 588. Sorry, Spo is at 586. I'm sorry, they're both. He's tied with Spo at 586.
Okay. And I'm guessing too, like that list has got to be including guys. Like there's probably people above them that have coached in like the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, like Joe Redick, JJ Redick has no business being on this list. He's coached 10
right.
Years.
I was gonna say they don't have like usually there's a minimum amount of games you have to have coached. But
not on this list. Yeah, this is basketballreference.com. They have that.
I think, but he's coached more. He's coached better teams than not like altogether. Like altogether, he's coached better teams than Spo has. Because some of them Heat teams after the big 3 were kind of struggling.
All of them. The Heat. We can all agree that the Heat, the success of the Miami Heat since the big 3 obviously players got to do what they got to do, but a large amount of their success is because of coaching. Y'all remember that one season where I thought they were gonna get a lottery pick. It was when Waiters was over there. And literally from the whole second half, they had the best record in the league the whole second half and missed the playoffs by one game.
Yep. Yep. I think that was 17.
Yeah, he's shown he can do with less. I think most of Doc's teams were pretty solid. I can't think about
Mhm.
besides the
Doc's
Magic. Besides the Magic situation, I think he's always been on like teams that were like kind of contenders. I
stacked.
think
Like the
Boston,
clip
Boston's
he
contenders,
coached.
Clippers contenders, Clippers with PG and them are contenders.
Yeah, he coached two different iterations of the Clippers that were both contenders. You look at both, especially the first time, that team was the most talented team in the league for a couple years. Like they had
Mhm.
no holes.
Uh,
There's
no, you talking about the Lob City Clippers?
Yeah.
yeah.
When you look, come on, man.
They were
When you
never
look
gonna
at the
beat the
guys
Thunder.
coming off the bench over there,
They were never gonna beat the Thunder.
I
They're
agree.
never gonna beat the Spurs.
they did beat the Spurs. They beat the Spurs in 2015.
And then they ran into
That
the
that's I'm like
Warriors.
there's
And then they were never gonna beat
no,
the
they
Warriors.
blew they're the last team to beat the Warriors pre-title. Like in the playoff, well, since but obviously a lot's changed since the run. But when the run was going on, they were the last team to beat them in a series. And then you would have thought, like, considering that at the time they had their number, you would think if they get past the Rockets, it's Clippers Warriors, and they had a winning record against the Warriors at that time.
And I think the Warriors win that series. I'm taking the Warriors.
Yeah, I would
I
too.
would take that. Obviously,
Like a
hindsight being
series.
2020, it's easy to say like you would take the Warriors.
Yeah,
Warriors would have had home court advantage, and I think it was just that time for them. I don't know. I wasn't a big believer in that Lob City Clippers team, but who am I?
that's that man. That's a 30. I know they came out with the show on the whole Donald Sterling thing. I need a 30 for 30 on that run.
That was a good team. But there's three coaches going back to the coach thing really quick before we wrap it up. There's three coaches that I'm mad that haven't gotten back into things, and it's not because it has nothing to do with age. I don't know why they haven't gotten back in. Number one, uh,
I know one of them.
I'm drawing a blank. We
Mark
coached it,
Jackson.
Mark Jackson, number one, and both Van Gundy's, man. I'm
Well, at
mad that
least Jeff is on the Clippers staff now, so at least he's back in the game. He should
yeah,
be a head coach.
yeah, he's gonna be a head. Maybe he'll go to Milwaukee. Who knows? I
I
don't know.
think
I
Stan didn't do a terrible job in Detroit, but I think Detroit kind of sealed his fate as
Yeah,
far as like because you know what the problem was is the same thing that the Clippers did with Doc. You let him pick the players and coach the team. He wasn't a great GM. Like he just didn't have that eye for talent. He coached, but picks wise and just all the moves didn't work out.
I think I was gonna say the same thing. I agree with Mark Jackson and Van Gundy. Jeff, I think Stan, the Detroit and New Orleans situation, kind of he's coached
I
not
forgot he
recently,
was in New Orleans.
but
Wow.
he's kind of coached recently. It just hasn't worked out for him. I think Jeff deserves definitely another chance. Uh, yeah, the New Orleans, I think he was only New Orleans coach for 1 year, maybe half a season. And they got rid of him. I
right.
think he's having beef with like Zion or something. So I think those situations kind of killed him.
I like him, man. I'm a fan of his.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he if you want to really talk about it, he really kind of started that small ball, power forward shooting threes. When you think about
Stan?
Rashard, yeah, you think about the Magic team with Dwight, they were playing four out and
They
Dwight in the
were.
middle.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were
They
It was a
were.
solid
Rashard Lewis.
group.
Rashard Lewis, I guess he's like 6'10", but he was kind of playing like small ball kind of power
Mm-hmm.
forward. Like he was on that
Yep.
3-point line.
Out of high
Like
school, 16. Yep.
they were playing four out, and if Dwight could shoot threes, they probably would have played five out. I guess you can think Phoenix too, but you know what I mean.
I feel you. Jeff, I know honestly, Jeff is a weird one to me because it's not like every stop that he was in. Wasn't like they like what were the complaints really? He coached them. You could argue those were Pat Riley's teams, but he coached them to another finals in '99
Yeah,
and a bunch of fun playoff runs.
yeah,
Even when he was in Houston, those teams were solid. I know they never won anything, but like those were solid teams.
yeah.
Jeff is weird to me because he hasn't got a chance since like the early 2000s, which is kind of like
I'm wondering if he's choosing not to because he's got a good gig. Well, he's not even doing TV anymore.
No,
no.
no.
He's with the Clippers. He
Oh yeah, yeah,
interviewed
that's
for
right.
like the Rockets job a few years back. He's interviewed for some jobs. He just
Oh
hasn't got
yeah.
it.
Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
remember he
Well,
was he was in a he was in a running for the Rockets job maybe before Harden left.
that's right. I forgot that he with the Clippers. But before then, I mean, he had a speed. He probably didn't want to go back because I mean, you know how it is with coaching, man. You know, you don't live up to expectations. 2 years, you're done. I mean, look at Adrian Griffin, right? But speaking of the Rockets, real quick, man. Shout out to Ime. Uh, Houston
Boys
might
turn
be something.
around. I think so. I
They
think so.
might
You
be
got a
something.
nice young group over there. Van Vliet's a good vet for Green. Green looks like he's turning it on. Hey, you know what? You know what too? It's early. I think the Pistons got it right now, man. I don't think that team was suited for Monty to coach. I think they got it right with Bickerstaff, especially
I
considering what you saw him do in Cleveland. And they look good under him right now too.
I don't know what was wrong with them last year because they have like talent. I guess Cade. I think Cade missed a lot of the season last year. They had the talent. I don't know what was going on
Cade missed a lot of the
last year.
season, and is Troy Weaver still there?
Yeah, I think he is.
There,
Well,
some of the some, if he is, I like Troy Weaver. He comes from the I'm drawing a blank on my guy's name right now.
Sam
The
Presti.
Sam Presti. Yeah, he comes from the Sam Presti tree. But there was some questions like they didn't have like the spacing that they should have around Cade the last year. They've upped it a little bit, but that'd be my thing. And then I didn't understand why Ivy wasn't starting. I don't know if Monty had an issue with him or whatever, but I thought Ivy should have been a starter on that team.
they got a lot of guys out right now. Speaking of Ivy, he's out. I think Hardaway's out right now.
All
So
right,
front
man, that
court,
was that. Did you see that?
yeah, it was bad. It was bad. He was bleed. I know he was bleeding until like I had to look at it again. But it's gonna be hard to gauge them or whatever until they're full. But 5 and 7, we'll see.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anything else before we get out of here, fellas?
No,
Nah, because we
Bulls
probably could keep
82,
going.
Knicks
Right,
61.
right.
We probably
We
could have kept going for
definitely
another hour. So,
y'all. What are you guys doing? Anything next week?
I
I'm
should be
good if you
for.
guys are, man. I'm good if you guys are.
Yeah, I'm good.
We can coordinate it if anything. Let's do it again next week, man. We could definitely continue this, and we'll have a bigger sample size
Yeah,
as far as the NBA goes. So that'll definitely go a long way as well. But yeah, man, thank you guys for tuning in once again. Another big weekend for college football, for the NFL, for the NBA. And we will tell you all about that when we see you guys next time. It's Mike, it's Kayson, and it's Rich. And we will see you guys next time. Peace.